I'm now opening up the floor to Q&A. So let's hear. Anybody? If you're, thank you.
You didn't speak about common dislikes, though. Is that important? If you both dislike the same things, you both...
I'm happy you raised that subject. I will tell you that all major thinkers in the field will always tell us that there's always going to be 10 things that men and women will never agree on in a relationship, and it's okay. It's not a deal breaker.
How much should you listen to other people's opinions about a person that you're seeing versus like finding out about yourself, how you feel?
Question. Who's making the comments?
A friend of that person.
And are you hearing it from more than one source?
Yes.
Tzarich iyun, as the Gemara would say, you have to investigate. Yes. Anyone else?
During the shidduch process, you go out with the girl a couple times. At what point do you think it's proper to speak about, you mentioned the way you want to raise your kids, where you want to send them to school, how many kids, where do you think that's appropriate?
Date 4, date 5. That's already deeper. Yeah. Date 4, date 5.
So, when you're working on pairing two people,
yeah.
Let's say, you know how you mentioned how a lot, like, it depends on how they treat their mother, how they treat their siblings, stuff like that.
Yes.
How can you tell how a person is going to raise children? You know, like, it's one thing to say how they relate to other people, but the only thing you can go on is how their father raised them. You know what I mean? So,
very good question, and the answer is be very intelligent and perceptive when they speak in your dates. Take notes. Ask her how she feels. Looking.
You're saying like if he yells at the waiter for not bringing the bread, something like that.
One more time.
I'm sorry. So
you're saying about children.
Yeah.
I'm saying, let's say you're going out with a girl, right? And she speaks very affectionately about how she likes to babysit for her sister who's married or her brother who's married. That gives you an indication already that she's going to be a good mother. You can never, no one has a crystal ball to see the future, but watch and listen to how she talks about the subject matter.
But if you know someone who was raised, you know, like very strict household,
you know,
very non-flexible style of parenting, very authoritarian style of parenting.
Right.
Are you saying there's ways of seeing if that person is going to carry that out when they have their own children?
You have to discuss that with them. How do you plan on raising kids? That's very important. He brought that subject up. And I spoke about it. Are you going to discipline children the way your parents did with you? What's your game plan? And obviously, if you're enjoying her company, then there's something about her that you like. That specific issue you have to talk about. Yeah. Are you very liberal with it? Or are you progressive? Or are you conservative? You know what? People can't fake you out for that long. Eventually, they let their guard down. Yeah. Because one of the key areas, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you is, if you want to be a good dater, you need to have something called exposing your vulnerability. If many people don't have success in the relationships because it remains very superficial. Don't be afraid to let the other person into your world and share with them private things. That's the only way you'll ever determine if they're right for you. If you don't go down that elevator, you're never going to get to building a great relationship. Yes, they're going to find out stuff about you, and yes, eventually you may break up with them, but that's part of the process. Not everything, but enough to be able to see if you're in sync together.
If you get vulnerable with them, then you give them a piece, like a part of you.
But if you don't get vulnerable, you never build depth in the relationship.
But if it's not somebody, so like, how do you know? How do you know if the person is right for you? And get that?
Because they get you, and when you speak to them, they know their answers find their way into your heart. Understand? You guys mesh. You agree on the same things more often than not. And that's why it's important and it's a process, obviously. It's a good question, Rivka. It's a process of gradually letting that person into your life. But if you don't let them in, then you're going to get this thing. They'll call me or someone like me. Yeah, she's nice, but I'm just not feeling it. You know what that means? Lack of depth. I hear that a lot. I'm just not feeling it. I said, what kind of communication you have going? Are you allowing them into your life? Or are you afraid to let them in? That's part of the equation. You can't have the mango without stripping it of its peel. Go.
You also mentioned the idea of like having one foot in the door and always like looking for something better.
Too much choice.
Right. At what point does it feel like people might say like don't settle? But at what point do you feel like when do you make that decision of
simple? Ready? Okay, here we go. Write this down. PAIR. First of all, you have your top 10 list. All you need is 6 out of 10 plus physical attraction and Yirat Shamayim. On the side, as Yirat Shamayim, which is someone who believes in God, doesn't speak Lashon Hara, doesn't make fun of other Jews, and you're physically attracted. Now you got that out of the way, and you got 6 out of 10 qualities that you see. Now, there's something called the pair test, P-A-I-R, P. So we have P is physical attraction. That's, you find them physically attractive, and it doesn't happen right away all the time. It can take time. Next comes A, admiration. I admire him, I admire her. I see things in them that I don't see in other people that I dated. Acceptance. I can accept them for who they are even though they have faults. Next, we have I, emotional intimacy. That's what we're talking about, vulnerability. I can talk to them about things that are important to me, that are private, and I'm happy with that. We share with each other. Instead of running home to my mother to ask her how to solve a problem, I solve it with him, or I solve it with her. We look forward to being with each other. We can't wait to do things for each other. That's emotional intimacy. And last is R, respect. There's no place in a relationship, in a Jewish relationship, where there's a lack of that. If you have the 6 of 10, and we said already the non-negotiable is physical attraction, Yirat Shamayim, and the pair, P-A-I-R, you're good to go. Then goes the leap of faith. Anyone else? How important?
Is it that you come from the same culture, background?
Very.
But what if you think someone's great in all aspects except that you are really different culturally?
Okay, let's back up. Common culture leads to common expectation, which is a very big plus over the lifetime of a relationship over 30, 40, or 50 years. Same food, same jokes, same. Does that mean that a Temani or a Yemenite can't marry a Moroccan? Or a Persian can't marry Ashkenaz? No, it doesn't mean. It simply says you're out for more challenges. Because after you live under the same roof, different minhagim, different habits, different jokes, etc. You're just going to have to work harder at the daily stresses of life. You understand? I'd still, my Rabbi would say, and he was Ashkenaz, Polish should not marry Hungarian, because of the different cultures. For me, it's funny, looking back in my life, I wanted someone Sephardic. That was important to me. I was born in the Middle East. I had gone out with a lot of American girls. I didn't want that. I wanted a Middle Eastern girl. I was born in the Middle East and had a certain mindset. And I wasn't connecting with the American girls. So my wife is Israeli and she gets me. You understand? The same thing. Again, we live in a fluid, melting pot. I'm just saying that it can be done. However, it's exposing the marriage to more challenges. Go. Answer is very clear. You and her need to be almost equal. Actually, my favorite thing is where the girl's a little bit more religious than the guy. I like that. Yeah, because the girl can always raise the guy. The guy can have a hard time raising the girl. Yeah, I love it when the girl's a drop more religious than the guy. I tell all my boys, the students that I've had over the years, I love it when the girl's a little bit more frum.
What do you mean by a little bit more?
Just a drop, not heavy more. You know what I'm saying? If there's a huge disparity, it's to work, and she's not, that they don't belong together. Traditional versus orthodox, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, so you spoke about 3 things that girls should focus on. If the guy has it, you do not go out with the guy.
Yeah.
What about the guy?
Controlling personality will be 1. Impatient, and a love for the home and children. What's for dinner? Reservations. Anyone else? I said a controlling personality, a love for the home, and patience.